First for news and information in Coventry, this is iCov Radio.
Hello and welcome to iCov Radio. I'm Joe Pepper.
And I'm Charlotte Knowles. In today's show,
we take a look at the Extinction Rebellion protests in London.
And we'll tell you what you need to know about Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We'll dive into controversy around England's UEFA Euro qualifiers match in Bulgaria.
And take a look at some alternatives to Costco when bulk buying.
First of all, though, we're going to take a quick look at today's headlines, and for that, we're going to hand you over to Jack Cooper.
Thanks, Joe. A Brexit deal has been described today as still possible but more difficult by the EU's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier. Discussions aimed at achieving a Brexit deal between both the UK and the EU has significantly intensified in recent days. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is currently attempting to unite all parties with his alternative arrangement to the Irish backstop. Hopes of a deal have strengthened in recent days after a meeting with the Irish Prime Minister. It was described as the two leaders seeing a pathway to a deal. Parliament will have a special sit-in this Saturday, the date by which the PM is expected to have asked the EU for a Brexit delay should the no-Brexit deal be agreed on between the EU and MPs. The UK is still scheduled to leave the EU on the 31st of October. The UK job market is still showing signs of slowing down, according to the Office of National Statistics. In a figure unexpected by many, the number of people in work has fallen by an estimated 56,000. This has resulted in the unemployment rate rising to an estimated 3.9% from a previous June to August figure of 3.8%. The total number of people in work in the UK at the moment stands at 32.69 million. Recent government proposals that require people to bring photo ID to polling stations in order to cast their vote will disproportionately discriminate against ethnic minorities, according to Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. Speaking at a rally yesterday, Mr Corbyn described the plans as a blatant attempt by the Conservative Party to deny people their democratic rights and an attempt to suppress voters and rig the next general election result. According to 2015 research by the Electoral Commission, around 3.5 million people living in the UK, or 7.5% of the electorate, did not have any access to approved photo ID. These proposed changes will require new legislation. With Boris Johnson's current lack of majority in the Commons, it's unlikely to happen anytime soon. And for the first time in the UK, renewable electricity has overtaken fossil fuels as a means of generating power for the national grid. In the last quarter, renewable sources provided more electricity to the public and organisations than fossil fuels, with a share of 40% of electricity generation. It confirms predictions made earlier by the National Grid that 2019 will be the first year since the Industrial Revolution that zero-carbon electricity, which includes nuclear as well as renewables, overtakes gas and coal power. Wind power has become the UK's strongest source of renewable energy, making up 20% of electricity generated. The recent surge in renewables is thanks in part to the steep falling costs of wind and solar power technology in recent years, according to Renewable UK. And that's today's headlines. Back to you, Charlotte.
Thanks for that, Jack. Anyway, there's been some breaking news regarding Extinction Rebellion protests, which are just entering their second week now. The group has been banned from demonstrating in London, following 1,400 arrests since the whole thing started last Monday. Our reporter Katie Robinson went up to London on Saturday, and here's what she has to say.
You've probably heard by now about the protests that have been peacefully disrupting London for over a week. Extinction Rebellion are a non-violent group that only started last year, but this week they've managed to rally thousands of people to their cause, with slogans like "This is not a drill" and "There's no Planet B." Their demands include bringing our climate emissions down to zero by 2025 and the government declaring a climate emergency. This will mean drastic changes to everyday life, like restrictions on flying, embracing a plant-based lifestyle, and more mindful approaches to consumption in general. This past week, they've managed to target key areas in London, like Oxford Circus and Parliament Square, causing some headlines along the way, with stunts like barricading the BBC and grounding flights after Paralympian James Brown climbed on top of a plane. It certainly kept them in the public eye. We've head over to a couple of the 11 groups occupying London this Saturday to see what people there have to say.
Power to the people.
We're here in front of the London Eye, the sign behind me. says government action will cost countless lives. People are wearing medical masks and they're holding signs saying "Act now, healthy planet equals healthy children." There's loads of police around. It's quite a tense atmosphere, to be honest.
Away from the noise and excitement of the crowd, I've managed to find some protesters hanging back that told me their stories.
What do you say to the people that think your group has gone too far? For example, barricading the BBC, delaying flights, making people wait.
Well, I don't think that you can go too far when it comes to something as important as the environment, because it is the most important thing to everybody in the entire world right now.
And what kind of impact do you think this is having globally?
I think people are beginning to listen. I think people are actually taking notice of us. I think something like this is needed for the world to begin to realise what needs to change.
Do you think it's worth it to be arrested today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the more people that are arrested today, the more awareness it will bring to our cause.
I don't know if I'd be willing to be arrested, would you?
Oh, I'm not so sure. You've got to be very motivated to be arrested for any reason, really. But moving on, in honour of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, iCov is talking about breast cancer across all of our platforms today to raise awareness for the millions of people's lives that are affected by breast cancer every year. We've got an amazing story about how a lady has walked multiple marathons over the years to raise money and awareness for the charity.
I'm doing the moonwalk as part of the New York Marathon to raise money for breast cancer. This involves us walking 26.2 miles in a decorated bra, and to do this we've had to raise £600 for the charity itself, and my friend and I have run a quiz night. We have had taken over a coffee shop, and we've got friends and family to sponsor us. We've done several moonwalks. We've done approximately 8 in London. We've also done Edinburgh, and we've done Iceland. And this year we felt, because my friend and I both turned 50, we wanted to celebrate by doing over 50 miles. So we took part in London in May, and we're taking part in New York. I feel this is an important charity to raise awareness of breast cancer. The main point for me is to raise awareness that men can actually also get breast cancer, which a lot of men aren't actually aware of and don't check themselves regularly like women do. So it's important and it's a worthy cause.
Go have a look at our Twitter at media_iCov to see what we're doing to raise awareness in the studio, including our whole team dressing in pink.
iCov Radio.
And now we have Joel Lodge with us in the studio to talk about all things sport.
Thanks, guys. Here's the main headlines for you. Mercedes have claimed their 6th consecutive Constructors' Championship after their double podium finish at the Japanese Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas dominated the race, leading almost every lap from the start, eventually claiming the win. Mercedes now lead Ferrari by 179 points, but with just 4 races left, they're now out of reach. Drama also unfolded in Argentina for the 12th round of the World Superbikes. In the championship's second ever appearance at the San Juan circuit, an unused, dirty track meant treacherous conditions for the riders. Many complained about the safety of the circuit, and 5 riders even boycotted the Saturday race. We caught up with factory Honda rider Leon Camier, one of the protesting athletes.
We've all known that this has been a problem many months before we've even got here, this track, for a number of reasons. And we've ridden when the track has been phenomenally filthy, and we've tried to go out and do our thing, clean the track, do as best we can, put in a situation already that we shouldn't have been in. We've then gone and ridden in the hot conditions, where since then we found out just before the race the FIM has showed us the pictures of the circuit, and there's oil coming up through the track. You can pick it out with your hands. The ground is not staying together, it is not right. We've also ridden in the hot conditions on Friday where you cannot get your knee down, and this is similar to conditions now, like where there is no control. You have no control over the bike. We've all had massive moments this weekend. None of us are in control.
Coventry Rugby lost to Jersey Reds 22-15 in the Green King IPA Championship opening tie. And this weekend, Eliud Kipchoge became the first athlete to run a marathon in under 2 hours. The 34-year-old Kenyan ran the 26.2 miles in 1 hour and 59 minutes and 40 seconds. In order to break the mark, he had to run 100 metres every 17.8 seconds, 422 times in a row at a speed of 13.1 miles per hour. England play Australia in the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup this weekend after a successful campaign so far. And now on to the main story. The Bulgarian Prime Minister has called for the Bulgarian football chief to resign after England players were racially abused in a European qualifier in Sofia last night. England thrashed Bulgaria 6-0, however the scoreline wasn't the main talking point. Prime Minister Boyko Borisov strongly condemned the behaviour, which included Nazi salutes and monkey chants. Centre-back Tyron Mings said he heard racist abuse even before warming up. It was some pretty appalling behaviour on their part. Joe, what's your take on this?
Well, I think it's really poor when you're representing a country in a world competition, be it whether you're a player or a fan. You really have to respect other countries. It's really quite a serious offence. Do you think that maybe Bulgaria should be excluded from the rest of the competition?
Well,
personally, I don't think so. I think it's down to the fans and the supporters, not the team themselves. I think maybe the best option is to take them away from their home games, let them play away.
That's an interesting thought. I guess it makes quite a lot of sense to separate the teams and the fans as an entity, really. Otherwise, quite a lot of poor behaviour, people might be arguing that it's worth punishing the teams when it's not necessarily their fault.
The true supporters will travel.
That's true, they will, so it's possibly a good way to do it. Do you think there might be much of an investigation into the behaviour, Joel?
Well, there is actually a bit of breaking news from UEFA, and UEFA President Alexander Seferin has released a statement saying football fans and governments need to wage a war on racists, and UEFA have said any action in response to Monday's events would have to follow on from a disciplinary committee, which in turn has to wait for a referee's report. Would you say this is UEFA taking some stricter action than perhaps they have done in the past?
Well, I think, if anything, yeah, as they should. It's a really serious problem. Racism shouldn't be allowed in any scenario, any sporting event, and especially in such a high level. There really should be a much higher quality of respect between the teams, between the fans, and I think it's about time that somebody put their foot down, really. Racism in football with fans has been a thing in the past few international events have had problems like this, really, so I think it's probably good that it starts to get sorted out.
Would you say it's quite telling that even the Bulgarian captain had to, get his players to stop or get the fans to stop being so racist after already 2 halts to the game? What would you say about that?
I think that shouts volumes, really, of how poor it is. When you're there to support your team and you're kind of defying what they even want you to be there for, you should be cheering on your team and not going against the other teams, really. It's something that should be about support and not hate. But thanks for joining us, Joel. That's been quite an insightful discussion.
So, Tom's joining us in the studio now.
Hey guys.
What have you got to tell us about entertainment today, Tom?
Zoe Kravitz has been announced as Catwoman in The Batman. The Big Little Lies star is set to play Selena Kyle in the 2021 film. This news comes after Robert Pattinson was announced as the lead role. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Well, I think it's fair to say that if this Batman movie is anywhere near as successful as the recently released Joker film, then it's going to be a big success. This Joker film has been majorly praised from critics and fans alike. So if they can revive the Batman series as well as they have in the character of the Joker, I think it will be a big hit.
I still need to see that one, so no spoilers, please, Joe.
I'm trying my best.
But yes, I agree. It'll be very interesting to see how that develops. From Batman to Robin, in an interview with GQ magazine, Pharrell Williams discussed his part in Robin Thicke's single Blurred Lines, stating that he is embarrassed by the lyrics and the controversy surrounding their #1 song. The single, which spent 5 weeks in the #1 spot, received a lot of backlash due to its sexist culture. Blurred Lines was banned at several universities, and an advert featuring the song was banned from daytime TV in 2014.
I just think it's a little bit strange. The song came out in 2013, so it's been, 6 years now? Either he really, really means an apology and it's taken him this long to think about it, or it had to take questioning for him to come out.
Have you guys heard about Fortnite?
I think everyone has.
The Epic Games revelation Fortnite has caused a stir by releasing Chapter 2. The game, which has had almost 250 million players across the globe in 2019, left players unable to play and instead staring at a black hole for roughly 36 hours until a new update appeared.
Well, I think with the state that Fortnite's in at the minute, a bit of viral marketing, like what Epic Games have pulled off with this stunt, is really what they needed. If you look at the player base over the last year or so, it's been steadily decreasing. And if you look at viewership on streaming platforms like Twitch, the viewership has gone down by about 50 million over the last couple of months, and I think that speaks volumes, really.
To be fair, I thought it was inevitable, though, considering how high they were. I think it was always inevitable they were going to come down a peg.
It's definitely got people talking. I mean, my 9-year-old sister's been crying for the past 2 days.
If you think that's bad, you should see my 25-year-old brother.
And lastly, UK fans have been left waiting anxiously as Disney have announced the US release date for their new streaming site, Disney+. From Lizzie McGuire to Star Wars, the streaming site will allow fans with a subscription to choose from hundreds of films and television shows to watch wherever and whenever they please.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they kind of have on there. I mean, Netflix has a very big range, so...
It'll be interesting to see how they can compete, really, especially if they have a price point as low as it's been revealed for America, $7, that's pretty low. So hopefully it'll be some good competition. But like you say, Charlotte, I think Netflix has got a bigger amount of content. Well, cheers for that, Tom. That's all good stuff, but we're going to move on now. According to the World Health Organization, there's been a rapid increase from 7 million to 41 million people vaping around the world, and in the UK it seems that it's no different. Rachel Farker tells us more.
Some 3.6 million people in the UK are vaping, a rise of 12.5 in just 1 year. Vapes are often available in attractive flavours and designs, making them popular with young people, and because they don't contain tobacco, they are perceived by some as a healthier alternative to smoking. Lots of people think e-cigarettes might be the solution, probably in large because of how they've advertised, but the reality doesn't reflect the dream. I spoke to Raina de Graaf, an anti-vape campaigner.
So you see vaping everywhere these days, and I really think it needs to be moderated. I mean, it's maybe just as dangerous as normal smoking, and people need to be more aware of that, because more and more reports have come out that, what's in vape is actually very dangerous and, brings many health problems. For example, it prevents immune cells from doing their actual job, and there are many more negative things about it that people are not aware of. You see everywhere how it's marketed towards even kids and teenagers, and they are even more vulnerable to the highly addictive properties that are in those vape cigarettes. I believe it takes advantage of the more vulnerable people, and it's created and sold in a way as an alternative to quitting smoking, but people are being told it's safe, but it isn't safe. It brings many health issues with it.
The past few weeks have seen a number of headlines appear in the UK from the US media, warning that vaping has been the cause of some illnesses, and in a few distressing cases, death. The US authorities have issued statements and warnings about e-cigarettes and vaping, but what is the real story? The real story is that all the evidence is currently suggesting that these illnesses have been caused by the use of black market cannabis products, not by vaping nicotine e-liquid. Yet the exaggeration, complication and misinformation at play have linked vaping e-liquid to serious respiratory illnesses. With this news coming from the US, should UK vapers be worried? Many health experts feel that it is dangerous and could be a gateway to smoking for others. That's one of the reasons why India, the country with the world's second largest number of smokers, have banned vapes, joining many other countries around the world. But here in the UK, we still seem to be celebrating vapes. For the past 4 years, the NEC and London have been holding a vape expo, encouraging people to attend and try new products.
Vaping is still fairly new, so there's not all that much information about it. Does this worry you about the health concerns with vaping?
Definitely. I mean, with all the flavours, chocolate, vanilla, everything that comes with it, I can completely see why people would be interested compared to smoking. But we don't know what can come out of it.
No, it does. You're right. It does seem like it's much more glamorized than smoking. I mean, because smoking's been around for such a long time, it's got to the point where all cigarette packets have big warnings on, and there'll be pictures of lungs that have cancer and that sort of thing. Vaping there's not been as much research, which means there's not as much to deter people from trying it out.
But that's the scariest part. Is it actually healthier than smoking? I think people might think it is, but not enough research has been done yet.
I think that's something we'll certainly find out later in the future. And I think the amount of people that are using it really speaks volumes. In the UK, there's about 3.6 million regular vape users. But if you compare that to over 1 billion people who regularly smoke cigarettes, it really shows that it's still new and it's still rising, and it's something that, we'll find more about in the future.
The scary part is you really don't know what's in it. There's batteries, everything like that's involved in the making of a vape.
And you're right, the ingredients as well. With cigarettes, there's been so much research that we know what's in them. Vaping ingredients, there could be, per se, slightly dodgier cartridges and things like that. So it would be interesting to see what new research can reveal about the health impacts of vaping compared to traditional smoking.
And next, in times of the falling value of the pound, us Britons are looking for more and more ways to save money where we can. Now, Tesco has potentially made our desire for a deal easier than ever before. Our reporter Jack Cooper explores.
We all love a good deal in this country. From half price to buy one get one free offers, the promotions often appear irresistible when they're able to save you a few pounds in the back pocket. It's well known, of course, that if you buy something in bulk, you tend to save money on that thing overall, thanks to the concept known as economies of scale. In short, the bigger the package, the better the value. That's why a 500ml bottle of Coca-Cola costs around £1.40, but you can get a whole litre more for just 30p extra. Costco is a wholesale warehouse store which sells regular products in huge bulk buy packages which are usually reserved for businesses. Members flock to Costco for the good value it offers, and they're happy to pay the annual membership fee for the privilege. Costco themselves have enjoyed the luxury of having very little competition, but that could be about to change thanks to a recent development from Tesco. Thanks to the takeover of cash and carry wholesale chain Booker in early 2018, Tesco has begun to incorporate wholesale items not unlike Costco to their supermarkets, and it has recently arrived at the Coventry Extra store near the Ricoh Arena. Prices are competitive too. A 30-pack of Pepsi Max was selling for £7.50 in Tesco, whereas you'd pay £7.54 for the same product in Costco. Add on the membership fee, and it would appear Tesco are putting in a lot of effort to undercut the competition and draw in new customers. But what do Tesco customers think of the new addition? I went to the Ricoh Arena store to find out.
I think it's a great idea. It's quite small right now from what I can see, but I feel like it's got some potential. Like, for me, I would only buy bulk, perhaps if the product was worth using, such as maybe washing powder, etc.
I think that Tesco moving into the bulk sale business is sort of a logical step, since a lot of people now go to like Poundland and Costco to buy their goods, because obviously they think they can make an investment and then it will last for longer whilst costing less overall. Get people going to Tesco anyway and buy, say, 20 bottles of Pepsi and such. So realistically, it just makes the customer experience better.
The dramatic introduction of bulk buys in store is part of the turnaround plan headed by the recently departed CEO Dave Lewis. Under his 5-year leadership, shares have increased by 40% and unprofitable areas of the business have been cut and trimmed. Costco may now have some serious competition to contend with. Only time will tell to see if the American giant will be impacted from Tesco's latest venture.
Welcome back to the studio, Jack.
Thank you, Joe. So, do any of us actually buy in bulk at the moment?
Well, I have to say I do quite like Costco. I think they have a lot of products and things that can last for quite a long time. I think drinks is a big one, things like that, and they can really stock you up for maybe months at a time.
I have to agree with that. Costco is great, but I do like my deals and my savings, so I like to shop when I want something in particular.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually, speaking and expanding on that, I find that Costco doesn't always give you the best deal. I find that sometimes you do actually have to do the maths to work out that you are actually getting a better deal versus just buying like a conventionally sized package.
I think that's the thing with bulk buying. One of the problems with it is that very often you have to do a lot of thinking before you buy. It's not necessarily as simple as looking for the cheapest price. You've got to consider what it is you're buying, and maybe even where you're storing it. If you're getting industrial amounts of orange juice, then it might not all fit in the fridge, especially if you've not got a massive fridge.
Yeah, exactly. And like for most things, do you really need like an oversized package of it?
No, definitely not.
No, unless you have like a massive family or something. But saying that, do you think this addition to Tesco would convince you to maybe go there?
I think I'd have to see it to know.
I think it's the sort of thing where Tesco already has the market. It has a lot of people shopping there.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably just see the same audience probably using the bulk buying area as well.
Yeah. I suppose the only concern you could perhaps say is that it's going to take choice away, perhaps.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we're going to keep the spotlight on you, Jack, because I believe you have some more headlines for us.
I do indeed, yes. Thank you. A Brexit deal has been described today as still possible but more difficult by the EU's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier. Discussions aimed at achieving a Brexit deal between both the UK and the EU have significantly intensified in recent days. Parliament will have a special sit-in this Saturday, the date by which the PM is expected to have asked the EU for a Brexit delay, should no Brexit deal be agreed upon by the EU and MPs. The UK is still scheduled to leave the EU on the 31st of October. The UK job market is showing signs of slowing down, according to the Office of National Statistics. In a figure unexpected by many, the number of people in work has fallen by an estimated 56,000. This has resulted in the unemployment rate rising to an estimated 3.9% from a previous June to August figure of 3.8%. The total number of people in work in the UK at the moment stands at 32.69 million. Recent government proposals that require people to bring photo ID to polling stations in order to cast their vote will disproportionately discriminate against ethnic minorities, according to Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. Mr Corbyn described the plans as a blatant attempt by the Conservative Party to deny people their democratic rights and an attempt to suppress voters and rig the next general election result. According to 2015 research by the Electoral Commission, around 3.5 million people living in the UK, or 7.5% of the electorate, did not have any access to approved photo ID. For the first time in the UK, renewable electricity has overtaken fossil fuels as a means of generating power for the national grid. The recent surge in renewables is thanks in part to the steep fall in the costs of wind and solar power technology in recent years, according to Renewable UK. A major water pipe has burst on the street in Tipton near Dudley, causing severe delays and closures today. The pipe, which exploded at lunchtime yesterday afternoon, caused the road to severely buckle and break. Tipton Green Junior School closed off all classes today after the road caused unsafe conditions for the staff and pupils. Nearby residents have been warned of low pressure or discoloured water. And in recap of today's sports news, Mercedes have clinched the F1 Constructors' Championship for the 6th time after Valtteri Bottas clinched the win in Suzuka, where the typhoon almost overshadowed the event completely. Coventry Rugby lost to Jersey Reds 22-15 in the Green King IPA Championship opening tie. And the Bulgarian Prime Minister has called for the Bulgarian football chief to resign after England players were racially abused in a European qualifier in Sofia last night. England thrashed Bulgaria 6-0. And that's today's headlines. Over to Tom now for a quick look at the traffic and weather.
Thanks, Jack. Traffic remains clear at the moment with no reported traffic jams or accidents. A small amount of congestion is present on the A45, but nothing out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, both the M1 and the M6 remain clear for the moment. As for the weather, it's staying dry, albeit cloudy, for the rest of the day. Temperatures are around average for the time of year, with highs of around 14 degrees. A dry and relatively mild night to come, with lows of 9 degrees before a band of rain pushes in from the southwest. Tomorrow things are looking unsettled for your morning commute, but things are looking drier towards the later half of the day, with highs of 13. Looking further towards the end of the week, it's staying mostly dry with occasional showers, but also a fair deal of sunshine. Temperatures are trending downwards though, so be sure to wear your layers.
Thanks, Tom. I'm afraid that's more or less all we have time for today's iCov radio show. What's been your highlight, Charlotte?
I have to say, Tom definitely got me excited for the new Batman film. I can tell you that now.
I think I'd agree with that. I mean, the Batman film looks great, and I think the casting decision was probably good too.
Definitely.
Got to remember as well, this Friday is the day to wear pink for breast cancer awareness. Among all of the different activities taking place with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you can be like us in the studio. Wear it with pink clothes, socks and hair. If you go onto our social media, you will find pictures of us, and I think there's a video on there of me getting my hair sprayed as well.
There is indeed. But thanks for listening, guys. iCov Radio will return next Tuesday at 3 p.m.
From all of us in the studio, bye-bye for now.
First for news and information in Coventry, this is iCov Radio.